The year was 2010. I just turned 9 years old when my brother arrives home with the latest Call of Duty, Black Ops 1. We load up zombies, keen to pick up where we left off in World at War, when we experience the opening scene of the map 5.
Viva la revolución!
Any last words, Mr. President?
Yes, Jack. Any superlative words of inspiration for our humble troops?
Do not pray for easy lives, my friends. Pray to be stronger men.
Of course, being 9, I could not quite fathom the weight of the words I just heard. After all, I was about to play as Fidel Castro alongside my brother, President John F. Kennedy, in defending the Pentagon against a zombie invasion. I had bigger fish to fry. However, there is a reason I bring up this scene and this quote to this day, some 15 years later. Even if I did not know it then, JFK's words would leave a lasting impression on me. Fast forward to 2024. I'm now 22 and just finished my last exam for my animal health and disease degree. I've convinced myself veterinary school was not the path I always thought I was going to go down. I worked behind a bar in those days and had countless interactions with people telling me about high depression rates and the low pay compared to doctors. And I even had my own university lecturer give me a slideshow as to why veterinary may be a bad idea. But in the end, I'm the one who let these outside voices in and tamper with my dreams. So I can only blame myself for choosing to divert from pursuing them. It was at this specific point in time where the hardest and most grueling years of my life so far began. Desperate for a new career path, I reach out to my friend and promptly start an internship at a digital marketing agency. The rose-tinted glasses were on. Working with my best mate, work drinks, meeting new people, having a sense of doing something again. It was not until I started full-time employment there that the rose-tinted glasses wore off. I distinctly remember sitting at my desk doing an ad build when I was suddenly hit with the most intense feeling of regret, depression, shame, you name it. Here I am, basically the antithesis of the movie Fight Club, trying to get people to buy stuff they do not need. A couple weeks go by and the feeling gets worse. I've never thought of a future without veterinary, so the thought of doing something as soulless as this destroyed me. I have a chat with my boss and discuss the moralities of advertising, and the fact that I do not think I can continue to do work I am not proud of. Work I will never look back on and say, yeah, I did that. I resign shortly thereafter. Now what? I have a useless degree. I'm convinced veterinary is not for me. I left my job, and the unbearable weight of thinking I wasted the last 3 years of my life is tied to my ankle, hindering my every thought and action. I stop going to the gym. I stop eating my meal plans. And to top it all off, I then get rejected by a girl only a week before the stock market crashes. Going to sleep is a nightly battle, tossing and turning, wishing time travel existed, as if only it did, I would go back in a second and redo the last 3 years of my life. I began to sit with the feeling of regret longer than I sat with friends, my tears blinding me to the fact that not everyone has their life in order at 23. As the weeks go by, it feels as though each day is a week and a week a year. Clawing at the walls of my psyche, I cling to the idea of engineering as a means to remedy what I thought was my own wasted potential. In hindsight, this was due to many of my friends doing it, disregarding my own values and what I want to dedicate my life to. After meetings with career counsellors, I begin 2025 studying 24/7, trying to get into a master's program. I went into hibernation, sober 24/7, gymming and running to the point I reached my peak physique. On the outside, I looked my best, but on the inside, a feeling was lingering that I wasn't doing this for myself, chasing a career I thought I should do instead of would do. I got into the master's program. About halfway into the first semester, I picked up support work and later landed my first client, Harry, a 60-year-old man living with cerebral palsy. I did not realise it at the time, but the reason for me enjoying support work is it fulfills a part of me that I would come to realise I've been neglecting since I stopped pursuing veterinary. Examinations come round. After studying 24/7, I end up flunking my first mechanics exam. I remember sitting there in November 2025 in a massive hall with hundreds of students, and instead of panicking that I was running out of time, I felt relieved. It was as if someone yelled cut, and I could finally stop pretending to do something I didn't actually want to. Afterwards, I went over to my mum's house and just sat there assessing my options. I made a few calls and planned an electrical apprenticeship trial in January. It was the only thing left on my list. I never considered veterinary, my brain writing it off, scared of facing the idea I strayed away from the right path after all this time. I began repeating the negatives I got told about it, searching on Reddit for comments to reaffirm my prior decision. January rolls around. I start the trial apprenticeship at a site near the city. After my first day, I'm up on the top floor of the office building, looking down on everyone below, after being electrocuted, installing a light I had no business doing myself. I do not belong here. So I decided to confront the idea that veterinary was for me all along. All these paths I chose since were what I thought I should do. I chose veterinary once and ran away because people told me it wasn't right. Why did I take advice from people I wouldn't trade lives with? What did I want my legacy to be? Did I truly want to spend the rest of my life wondering if I stuck at veterinary? You would think I learnt from last year's dark period, but I quit the apprenticeship and fell back into a depressive episode. Regret, who I got to know so well 1 year prior, welcomed me back like an old friend. The sleepless nights, no motivation to gym or run, meals out the window. I resorted to living back with my mum for a month, eventually turning that into 2 months. All the while I maintained a solitude environment. Who needs friends when I have the voices in my head? My unanswered calls for a time machine again resurfaced each night, this time praying I could go back and repeat the past 2 years and never stray away from veterinary medicine. Anger, frustration, existential dread. I did not miss regret's company. I remember my turning point. I met up with my oldest brother's good mate, who's a psychologist, who chose to be so at 26 years old. On a walk along the beach, we were discussing my concerns regarding feeling behind those around me. He rightly questioned what being behind even is. Is there some set path we have to follow? Someone can have it all early and lose it all due to unforeseen circumstances. All that matters is you're getting better every day and working to achieve something you truly want deep down. When our walk was over, he told me a quote that one of his relatives wrote in a card he received on his birthday. Do not be too timid and squeamish about your actions, for all of life is an experiment, and the more experiments you do, the better. A quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American 19th century philosopher who championed that individuals should trust their inner intuition over societal conformity. As I walked back to my car, the quote still echoing in my mind, I could feel regret's grasp around my ankles weaken. I went home and landed a job working as a racehorse stable hand. I then organised a 3-week volunteer trip to New Zealand at a wildlife nature conservation, and I started going back to the gym and running. I've been depressed before. I know how to beat it now. I'll try to explain the feeling I had, but it truly was reminiscent of the quote, a man has 2 lives, and the second one begins when he realises he only has one. I never truly grasped the idea of mortality before this, which may be odd, but I begin to view my life and decisions on a much broader timeline scope than ever before. What did I want to be proud of on my deathbed? What actually mattered? What would I regret spending time on? These were all questions I never asked until then. Fast forward to the present moment. I'm still not drinking, I'm gymming, running, eating clean, working 6 days a week, doing placement at a veterinary hospital, I had the best 3 weeks of my life in New Zealand and have started making YouTube videos. A dream I've had ever since I started watching Markiplier some 10 plus years ago. I feel happy again. I recently got shown this quote which perfectly encapsulates my mindset shift. If you're pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And this you have the power to revoke at any time. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. I look back at my past hardships now with the lens of necessary development. I've learnt so much about myself and changed for the better. Would I be who I am now without these struggles? I don't think so. Us as men wish to be strong, but when we are given challenges to overcome, we tend to quiver. But maybe they are the means in which we become strong. And now, I finally understand what JFK was telling Castro and Nixon all those years ago inside the Pentagon. Don't pray for easy lives, pray to be stronger men. I ask myself now, if a time machine were invented, would I go back and redo these past years to avoid the struggle, to avoid the challenges which have guided me into becoming the man I am proud of becoming today? Not for a single second.